Hello and welcome to the Daylight Midnight Show. My name is Greg and I'm feeling really uncomfortable. Not, can I point out, because I'm wearing a dress and lipstick, far from it. I'm feeling uncomfortable because of this jumper that I'm having to wear over the top of the dress. This is probably the thickest, warmest, scratchiest item of clothing that I own. I normally wear it outside over the top of about 4 other layers when it's really cold. I don't need it indoors. It's making me feel really hot and sweaty and scratchy. So I've taken it off the wall chart so that I don't have to wear it anytime again. So the big white jumper is gone. It's been replaced by the stripy jacket that I wore a few weeks ago that hasn't been seen for a while, so that's now come around again on rotation. So let's move on with the show then by activating the Gregometer. Now, this is a very technical scientific device. This was designed and built by enigmatic engineers in Enfield. And what this does is this will monitor things like my oxygen levels, the percentage of my body that's covered in scars, the rate at which my nasal hairs are growing. It'll put all that information together and it will come up with one word that it thinks sums up the kind of mood I'm in today and therefore the kind of show that you can have, and it will beam it to the expensive display cabinet behind me. And today I can tell you the one word that the Gregometer used to sum up how I'm feeling is pretty. And how. Well, let's put that there for all to see. So from that, let's move on to the Door of Delights. We have, of course, to do a Seagulls update. Brighton and Hove Albion are our chosen team to support in the Premier League this year. And there's not much to mention this week because it's just been an international break. So I thought I would slip into fantasy football, and I've made up a few things that might have happened to Brighton and Hove Albion under certain other conditions. So this is like an alternative reality Seagulls update. Brighton have this morning signed Argentina forward Lionel Messi in a shock deal from Barcelona. His weekly wage will be a book of Green Shield stamps and a beef curry pot noodle. They've also changed their home strip to a camouflage shirt in honour of the army, and they'll all be wearing pink bow ties as well, just to add a bit of class. And in a stunning move designed to circumvent the government policy on no fans in stadiums, anyone buying a ticket to a home match next year will get a free scuba mask and a wetsuit. Genuine news from Brighton. It's an away game this weekend at fierce rivals Crystal Palace. Greg predicts Palace 1, Brighton 2. Go Seagulls. So from there we'll move on to naming our show mascot. This is a Galapagos penguin, and we narrowed it down last week to 2 possible names for this guy. I like the name Pogo and I like the name Dave. I've rejected the 13 possibility because that was only really relevant to last week's show. So it's going to be Pogo or Dave, and after chatting to a few people this week I thought I'm going to use both names. So the only question was, is he going to be Pogo Dave or is he going to be Dave Pogo? I liked Dave Pogo, but then someone else pointed out to me, whenever you consider your child's name, you've got to think about the surname as well. And I think Pogo Dave Penguin sounds better than Dave Pogo Penguin. So he is now officially named Pogo Dave Penguin. And for those of you saying Pogo's not a real first name at all, it is, because I've looked it up. If you have the name Pogo, it means you are spontaneous, confident, poised and versatile. You could be the consummate host as you enjoy being the centre of attention and engaging in conversation and social interaction. If that doesn't sum up the guy in this picture, I don't know what does. So let's make it official. We're going to write on here then his name. Pogo Dave Penguin. He is christened. I'm going to give him a little lipsticky kiss. Mwah! And there we go. Our official mascot now has an official name. And in looking that up, I also discovered that POGO is an acronym for the Paediatric Oncology Group of Ontario. They work together to make sure children with cancer across the state of Ontario get access to state-of-the-art care. So that's a nice tribute to them as well. So let's move on to the brown folder then, my little carry case. Every week I'm walking around, I write stuff in this, and then we open it up and have a look at what we want to talk about. So, a list of things I miss from lockdown. Number 1, people not caring what their hair looks like. Number 2, neighbours talking to each other. Number 3, having an excuse not to go anywhere. I've written here, Marmite on the Wall, Suzanne Vega cover. Oh, that was an idea for a song that I might write. A few weeks ago I read out a list of things I'll be doing in upcoming shows, and as of yet I haven't done any of them yet. I know that's something I need to look at when we have a big production meeting with the entire production team. And a joke my 12-year-old son made up last night. What do you call a dinosaur with diarrhea? A velociraptor. So let's talk science, ladies and gentlemen. Having this outfit on has reminded me of a time that I did a little science experiment. When I worked in radio, we were sent a report from, I think it was Norfolk Police, and they'd done this study and discovered that if you're a male cyclist, you're far more likely to be hit by a car than if you're a female cyclist. And the reason is that most of the dangerous drivers are males, and when male drivers see a female cyclist, they like to check them out, see how the lycra looks, see if the top fits nicely with the sweat. If they see a male driver, they just ignore them. So I did a little experiment to try and prove or disprove this. I biked down a main A road in Norfolk, dressed as myself, and then I did exactly the same route dressed as a woman, and I have to say the conclusions were pretty much inconclusive. You had pretty high percentage chance of getting hit either way. So I never bike on that road anymore, dressed either as a man or a woman or some kind of bear. But that sort of led me to looking at some of these really terrible scientific studies. I used to see them a lot in radio because you get sent them because the scientists are really excited when they're published and they want to talk about them. But my response to most of them was, what a waste of time and what a waste of money. So I've looked a few up, I'm going to share them with you. These are genuine. People actually got paid for conducting this research. The Department of Cognitive Biology at the University of Vienna wanted to know if someone yawning in front of you really makes you yawn as well. So they did an experiment with red-footed tortoises. Now what they did is they taught a red-footed tortoise to yawn on command. They then put that tortoise in a box with some other tortoises, made it yawn, and then saw whether the other tortoises yawned in response. The conclusion was they don't. But rather than leave it there, our scientist friends said, well, maybe they know that their mate is faking it. So as part of this experiment, they put these tortoises in a room with a video screen, and on that video screen they showed them a picture of their mate doing a fake yawn, a picture of their mate doing a real yawn, and then just a picture of a blank wall, and they observed that this had no effect whatsoever. Money well spent, I think you'll agree. This is from a great study titled Neural Correlates of Interspecies Perspective Taking in the Post-Mortem Atlantic Salmon, an Argument for Multiple Comparisons Correction. Now pay attention, this really happened. Scientists put a dead salmon in an MRI machine and measured its brain waves as it completed a series of tasks. Here's an actual quote from the research paper they published. The task administered to the salmon involved completing an open-ended mentalizing task. The salmon was shown a series of photographs depicting human individuals in social situations with a specified emotional valence. The salmon, which I'll remind you was dead, was asked to determine what emotion the individual in the photo must have been experiencing. Now I do have to be fair to them on this one. I looked into this a bit further and they did have a sound reason behind it. They were saying that maybe MRI scans can be affected by outside interference and therefore they can give fake results. And they basically proved it because they did actually monitor brain activity in the salmon that had been dead for over a week. And I'll do one more for you. This one probably shouldn't be funny, but it really is. I have no earthly idea why this was done, but as reported in the publication Applied Ergonomics Volume 33 back in 2002, 7 Australian scientists conducted a study to ascertain the optimum surface to drag sheep over. They used various textiles and angles of slope, and their conclusion was that the best flooring should be, and I quote, sloped at 1 to 10, constructed of timber battens, oriented parallel to the path of the drag, which resulted in a mean dragging force 15% lower than the worst combination. Now I can't imagine how that information could be useful to anyone unless you're a farmer dealing with drunk sheep that are trespassing. But it has given me hope that I can get funding for my own study idea. What do you think of this for a title? Does the colour and style of clothing worn by presenters affect the creativity and professionalism they display on camera? I think this could be a winner. I think the Daylight Midnight Show is the perfect ground to test this experiment on. So I'm going to go away now and I'm going to type up a proposal for the Royal Society and see if I can get some funding. So let's do outfit roulette then to decide what I'm going to wear next week. Here we go. The randomness of the Rubik's Cube gives us red. So next week I'll be wearing a body warmer. Under that we have blue, so I will be wearing my Flamingo Donut t-shirt, and accessorising all that we have yellow, so I will be wearing my round glasses. That is next week's Outfit Roulette lineup. A rhyming couplet then to end the show on. Sometimes life's overwhelming, sometimes my mind is a mess, but today I feel brilliant, because I'm sat here wearing a dress. I will see you next week. Have a great 7 days.